The night smelled of gasoline and thunder. Engines roared like wild beasts echoing through the desert road. The Hells Angels, leather-clad and roaring with pride, had gathered around a dim campfire under a cold red moon. Laughter mixed with whiskey and smoke. Then came the sound. Soft, broken, like a wounded bird. A cry, half-breathed, half-swallowed by the night. She stumbled into their light. Her face was hidden under dirt and tears. Her feet were bare, her clothes torn by the wind and time. No one knew where she came from, and no one cared to ask, until one of the bikers, the youngest among them, stood up. His name was Ray. They called him Reaper. But deep down, he had a soul that never truly belonged to hell. She fell to her knees before them. Her voice cracked like glass when she spoke, "Just kill me fast." The laughter died instantly. The flames flickered. Every man froze. Her words hung in the air, not a cry for death, but a whisper of exhaustion. A heart that had been beaten by the world long before that night. Ray took a step forward. "Who hurt you?" he asked. She didn't answer. She only lowered her head and whispered again, "Please, just make it stop." And then, in that silence, the leader of the pack, old Jack, motioned toward her. "See if she's armed." When Ray bent down and gently lifted the edge of her torn shirt, he froze. There weren't weapons. There weren't threats. There were scars, deep, twisted lines of pain written across her skin, old and new. The kind of scars life doesn't give without cruelty. He dropped his hand like it burned him. The fire cracked louder than before. And for the first time in years, a Hell's Angel felt something he had long buried, compassion. The girl's name was Anna. She hadn't spoken it in months. The world had taken it from her, piece by piece, until she forgot what it meant to be human. But that night, under the stare of the angels, something shifted. Ray gave her his jacket. She trembled inside it like a lost child. The others stared in silence, confused, ashamed, remembering things they had buried beneath tattoos and engines. No one knew where she came from. No one asked. They only saw the marks of a life no one deserved. And Ray, he couldn't walk away. There was something about her eyes, the way they looked at death, not with fear, but with relief. He had seen that look once, in the mirror, after the day his brother died in a crash he blamed himself for. "Why do you want to die?" he asked quietly. Anna didn't answer for a long time. Then she said, "Because I tried to live, and no one noticed." The words cut through the night like a blade through smoke. Ray sat beside her. "You're noticed now." She shook her head, tears tracing lines down her face. No one can fix what's already gone. But Ray wasn't trying to fix her. He just wanted to make her believe she wasn't alone in her pain. The others looked away, pretending they didn't care, but every man there felt something cracking inside. For years, they had called themselves brothers of the road, wild, untamed, feared by many. But in that moment, they realized they were just lost boys running from ghosts they couldn't bury. And somehow, this broken girl reminded them what it meant to still have a heart. Days passed. They found an old farmhouse miles away from the nearest town. Ray stayed behind with Anna, helping her heal, while the rest went off on their rides. Slowly, she began to speak about her past, her dreams, the people who had hurt her and the world that looked away. But Ray never asked for details. He knew pain didn't need to be explained, it only needed to be understood. One evening, she asked him, "Why are you helping me?" He paused. "Because someone once saved me when I wanted to die." She looked at him. "Did they fix you?" "No," he said softly. "They just didn't leave." That night, as the sky turned to silver, Anna stood in front of the cracked mirror inside the farmhouse. She looked at the scars again. For the first time, she didn't hate them. They weren't marks of shame anymore. They were proof she survived what tried to end her. Ray came to the door and said, "We've all got scars, Anna. Yours just tell a louder story." She turned and smiled. Weak, trembling, but real. It was the first smile he'd ever seen from her. The next morning, when the Hells Angels returned, they found Anna standing outside, watching the sunrise. Her hair danced in the wind. The same men who once feared nothing stood quietly before her, like sinners before a prayer. She didn't ask for pity. She only said one thing. "You don't have to live like monsters to feel alive." And somehow, every one of them felt those words pierce straight through the armor of their souls. Months later, the Hell's Angels were no longer what they once were. They didn't become saints. They were still wild, still broken, but they had changed. They started fixing up bikes for veterans who had lost limbs. They began bringing food to old folks stranded on the highway. They didn't do it for forgiveness. They did it because Anna showed them that humanity doesn't need perfection, just compassion. Ray and Anna would ride together sometimes, through the same roads where the night once tried to swallow her. She no longer hid her scars. They had become her strength. One night, as the wind howled and the engines roared beneath the stars, she leaned closer to Ray and said, "I don't want to die anymore." Ray smiled through the dark. "Then let's live loud enough for the ones who couldn't." And they did. Every roar of the engine became a heartbeat. Every mile they rode was a prayer for the broken souls still searching for light in the dark. Years later, when old Jack passed away, the angels gathered one last time at the desert road where it all began. Anna stood before the fire, holding the same jacket Ray had given her that night. The flames danced, and her voice rose steady and clear. "Once I begged for death. Now I thank God for every breath." She looked around at them. Men who once carried anger like a weapon, now carrying hope like a torch. And in her eyes, they saw not the girl who asked to die, but the woman who taught them how to live.